Go, 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 go. All right, guys, we are here. We are here. We are here. We are here. So I want to say this, and I appreciate this guy. It's very late where he's at. So I usually say the same phrase every time. What's good, King Louie?
I am all right. Appreciate the king. Yeah, it's quite late where I am. It's just gone 1 a.m. But I mean, with Raw, AEW, and NXT, SmackDown, and pay-per-views, my body clock is through the wall. So if you say the show is about 90 minutes, I'll probably be in bed earlier than I've been in bed in quite some time. But no, I'm doing good, man. And thank you so much for having me on the show. I've wanted to get on for a while.
Yeah, you are the prodigal son of Britain, like I said in a couple of tweets when you're doing the AEW stuff.
Yeah, I am the prodigal son of Britain. I am Fightful's resident Brit. Sorry to Joe, but no, yeah, I am. I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. Obviously, at the moment with Fightful and the AEW stuff, it's great fun, and obviously at Wrestle Talk, me and Denise are the two people that I guess are sticking in the middle, sitting on the fence during this feud that's going on.
Yeah, me, I'm just like, it is what it is. I'm just gonna have fun with it. But
Of course.
like it's always good to have somebody else's perspective, especially. So,
Mhm.
um, let's get right into it. So, what do you think about the whole McAfee line opening at NXT where he says "night night, baby"? I started laughing, thinking that was like a little kid.
It was interesting. The whole Pat McAfee thing is just it is as you said earlier, it is what it is. I think that it could go one or two ways. It could be like a Steve Amell, I guess, wrestling's like cameo spot where he actually impresses people because he's not half bad. But it could be people sort of. It could be someone like a Tyson Fury or a Cain Velasquez where it's not all that great. I mean, I trust Adam Cole to bring anyone to a good match. Whether he can do that with someone that's never had a match before, remains to be seen. But the whole feud, I don't really have the big issue with that a lot do. And thought the way they played on it last week on NXT was a little bit better than the week before.
I just think it's funny that they have another person who's high profile sports person just showing up and becoming a very prominent person in a pay per view. And obviously, WWE's had a history of that in the past. Obviously, look at Tyson
Mm.
at WrestleMania 14. So, I mean,
Just doesn't seem very like NXT sort of thing the main roster would do. But I guess when you're in the war with AEW, with AEW, you need to try and get those viewers. I mean, for me, it was particularly, I guess, different as well because for you guys, I presume that everyone, it's if you watch the NFL, you will know who Pat McAfee is, right?
yeah, I know he's a punter for the Indianapolis Colts that my
Yeah.
team destroyed numerous times. Yes, I am a Patriots fan. I am from Boston, so yes.
So obviously, not knowing who he is, it's sort of like I don't know whether you guys have got this big sort of like, oh crap, that's awesome to see him there. But from what you've all said and I've seen on Twitter, no one seems that keen on seeing him. But I think next week's show will be interesting, or no, sort of this week. Um, at the end of this week with NXT Takeover, that'll be a very interesting show to say the least.
It's gonna be coming really interesting real quick. But that Cross Birch match was really, really good. Um,
Yeah.
Birch literally took it right to him. But literally, this match was a very cross. It's basically one-sided match. Obviously, you're just setting up Birch to just eat the loss in a short aspect. But the match itself was great. You know, the crossface. You know, the Doomsday Saito. You know, he hit it twice. Birch was literally trying to fight the entire time. You know, and Cross got this cross jacket on Birch, and the big story wasn't the match itself, which is kind of sad because it was really good. The match was
Mm.
the aftermath of it. So Keith Lee and Cross, the best line about that whole promo he called him a punk ass bitch.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting, to say the least. The whole, I guess, I thought the match was good. The match was actually really good. Um, I like how it's similar to the Bronson Reed match that Cross had, where he got enough in that it was back and forth, but um, uh, Birch still, so Birch looked good, but Cross still looked dominant. So I think that was cool to see, for sure. And then the promo afterwards, as you said, I'm just worried about how they're going to get around this feud, I guess, how they're going to book themselves out of the corner that they've booked themselves into. Are we going to see Keith Lee lose? Like just over a month after winning the title? I think that's probably too soon, but then it's too soon to have Cross lose. So God knows how they're going to get themselves out of it. I guess that remains to be seen.
Are you an anime fan by any chance?
I am not. No.
Ah, then you won't get this reference. Are you like a DC fan, like a comic fan?
I am not. I'm the so when I guess these like I guess wrestling comes under nerd culture, so a lot of the other stuff that comes under nerd culture I'm not into, which a lot of people are surprised by. But no, not into anime, not into DC.
I implore you, my British fellow man, look up this, all right? Because I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. Huge.
Okay.
There's the hero and the villain in this, and this match between Lee, especially with Lee's move set with two moves, with the Big Bang Catastrophe, and what I call it, and this is the Japanese translation, Genki Dama, which is actually the Spirit
Mm-hmm.
Bomb. It Goku and Frieza. Now Frieza in this whole match, if you had to use Cross, is the villain in this. That's sadistic and twisted, and he wants to get. And then there's Lee, who's like Goku, who has pure heart and is trying to do right by the people he cares about.
Yeah.
Like Superman versus Lex Luger. Batman versus Joker. These are all these stuff that actually cross reference in pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
It was really cut and dry until that fireball.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear all the jokes about that stuff.
What did you think of the fireball?
As soon as I saw that, I was like, holy shit. And then him freaking out. But
It was.
then all of a sudden in the back of my head, because I used to do internet DJing in college for a little while, I had great balls of fire stuck in my head, singing it and humming it, walking around.
The thing is, I don't mind it. It depends how they explain it. If they explain it as like Cross somehow put some sort of firecracker thing, I guess, in there, that's cool.
I like it how it
Um,
happened before then, like with Cross signing it and Scarlet sealing with the kiss and shoving it. It's like the
yeah,
kiss of death.
yeah, I like that, especially after what we see afterwards. But then if it's sort of gonna be oh, Scarlet is I guess. Scarlet, I like Scarlet's role, but it's gonna be interesting how is she got like superpowers that she can I guess start a fireball. I guess it's gonna be interesting how they play off it, and that will judge how I view the feud moving forwards. Will I view it as corny and hokey with the whole like supernatural thing, or do I view it as like Cross as a hard hit man and Scarlet is sort of cunning and did that? It's going to be an interesting, definitely, I guess, week before Takeover. But I don't think that this feud is going to be done at Takeover.
I don't either. I really think we're gonna go past Takeover and it's gonna pick up more
Yep.
steam. But we'll get to that stuff last. Also, we're not touching Raw tonight. That's literally like a train wreck waiting to happen. Oh, by the way, DMGC is asking about Coldplay.
I just seeing him in the chat now. I discovered Yellow by Coldplay and the fact that Coldplay is British. Coldplay are a great band.
Yeah, they are.
Coldplay are a fantastic band.
I was raised on the Beatles by my mom, so Beatles are number one for me.
Beatles. So I'm wearing for those that don't know, I'm wearing a Liverpool kit right now, or jersey as you lot will call it. And the Beatles are from Liverpool. So I'll always have a strong affinity to the Beatles. But yeah, Beatles are great.
I'm wearing a Whalers jersey. Hoffer Whalers. That team's now playing in the playoffs in their Carolina Hurricanes, but
Very nice.
it's literally, this is like a jersey like the 8, 9 year old me who's a closet Whalers fan literally would be going nuts about. um,
It is a nice jersey. I do quite like American sort of sports jerseys. Definitely basketball and baseball.
you should see my closet.
American football as well. Yeah, I am jealous.
Yeah, you should see it. I counted the other day. There's 19 jerseys sitting in that closet.
Wow, I've got probably about 5, 6.
You got to, if you ever come over here, you'll end up getting a Red Sox jersey or something like that.
I, I was supposed to be in Boston.
I know.
This year, yeah, I told you earlier. I was supposed to be in Boston. Would have been back by now. But yeah, hopefully this time next year I'll be there.
Well, the UE show up, and obviously there's a match going on while this is all happening. And the match was started really good with Maverick and Dane, but I mean, once the UE hits, you already know what was going to come.
Yeah.
After what happened last day, Cole is basically saying, and it has affinity with these guys like Cole and Lee saying they're gonna whoop someone's ass. I'm like, doesn't that sound like Stone Cold a bit?
Yeah, it's. I like the UE stuff. It was at least a more serious side from Cole, so that was good to see.
The majority of NXT last Wednesday was promo heavy, extremely
Yeah.
promo heavy. Like you have one from Rich Holland, who I saw the match that he did. It was phenomenal. You had Kushida do one, Dakota Kai. Literally I counted. There was literally like maybe 5 matches out of a 2-hour show.
Mm.
It was like, okay. Hartwell and Yim. Hartwell did really well against Mia for, Mia not being focused, but, Mia literally took it to her. There was a couple of good spots, where the backbreaker by Hartwell, back elbow by Mia, there was a couple of pinfalls, but, the point where the match was like Hartwell was making fun because of Lee, because everybody knows Mia Yim's with Keith Lee.
Yeah.
But that released German with the net breaker. Ooh. That submission though was really cool though by Mia though.
The submission looked gnarly. It was crazy, but I quite like. I've seen some people be like, "Oh, why did we have to see Mia Yim like this week? Can't she have gone to hospital?" But I quite liked it. Thought it was a clever way of her continuing the storyline, I guess, while not seeing Cross and Lee. I quite liked it. It made NXT feel more like a sort of big world extended universe as opposed to I guess different people being involved with different views. It made it all feel sort of more interconnecting and overlapping, which I liked.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna further Mia a little bit, but eventually
Yeah.
when Lee goes up to the main roster and they keep her there, they're gonna say why she didn't go with them.
I mean, my hope is she doesn't become too involved in this feud to the point where they book it a mixed tag match, because I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I don't either. I want her to stay the way she is, as strong as she is.
I don't think it'd suit the group well if she became that wrestler. That was sort of thing WWE did on the main roster with Andrade and Zelina Vega. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Zelina Vega. I think she's awesome, but she wasn't the wrestler of the group, and WWE seemed to book her that way, where she should have been Andrade's mouthpiece, because she was fantastic at that too.
Yeah, I've been adamant about Ricochet. Everybody talks about Ricochet having a mouthpiece, and I think it's his girlfriend or fiance, Keaton Catanzaro. I think she would be perfect for that, like in that Zelina type role for Ricochet, where she could wrestle a little bit, but not till she's seasoned enough in NXT. But at some point, that would be an interesting thing.
I mean, I'd like to see him, Ricochet in the Hurt Business with MVP and Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. I think that could work well. I think that could work really well if they were given the time. If they were given the, I guess, character like promo time, MVP cutting the promos, Ricochet being the high flyer in the group. I hope that that's where they're going by having him lose so much on TV, that it goes to and builds towards Ricochet turning heel or Cedric turning heel and joining the Hurt Business. That is all we're going to say on Raw, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much. But we'll get who the last two that will be in the United States title match, where who I think and you will think. But I've called Reed this. He ain't Bronson Reed. He is big boy Reed. Very big boy. Very big boy.
Here's a big one.
Oh yeah. Him and Priest was basically an amazing match. This could have been, if it wasn't dealing with what happens later on for NXT with that triple threat to get into it. I thought this would probably be the match of the night.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I probably agree with exactly what you said. To be honest, it can't really add anything to that. You summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, this big boy can go, and when we get to our picks, I'll tell you who I think it is. And
The thing is, though, I quite like the promo package they gave for Bronson Reed a few weeks ago, and I think I've got more invested in his character as a result. So having, I guess, the match end the way it did made both guys sort of come out looking strong or not looking weak. So yeah, I was a fan of the finish and a fan of the way the match ended.
there's a saying that I've heard somebody say. I can't remember who. I've heard it in just passing in interviews and stuff, just listening here and there. That no, it was Mark Henry. He said this. I think it was him. That you could have somebody lose, but still win.
Yeah,
And I think
AEW does that well.
And I think
AEW does
this
that
is
really
the
well.
instance this happens. I mean, they're both talking smack. These guys have so much pride in it. But Priest using his martial arts, his trademark blows. The reverse elbow spot was really good. It hit him right on the button. Priest trying. This was a fun spot. I started chuckling a bit. Like the Priest trying to get the suplex on there. You know what the spot I'm talking about, where he tries to get the vertical suplex and it doesn't work, and Bronson turns it around. Yeah. But back from break, Priest with the broken arrow nails it on Reed. The pin attempt, and Reed kicks out. The suplex on, like I said, I was talking about his own. These guys were going move for move set, and where there was a lot of impact. These guys were hitting hard. It might not have looked at it on the camera, but it looked really painful.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a really good match, back and forth, worked well. Yeah, I was a fan.
Yeah,
I was a real big fan.
The jackknife cover was the win, and as Priest tried to hit the reckoning, and the big boy Reed wins. I quoted this in the notes, and I think this is interesting, and I think a lot of people. It was the Archer versus the big beefy boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you think is next for these two after TakeOver, though?
Tell you what, I'm not going to answer that question yet.
Oh.
I will answer that question.
Okay.
I will answer that question in a short while.
Okay. Other than that, we've got these Gargano promos. Like I said this before, and it's been stated here. They remind me of the Poltergeist. A little bit of and I've said this in super chats and stuff. A little bit of House of 1,000 Corpses, where they're just all nice and it on, it just turns in, and you're just every time they do that, they're like, oh, it's sweet inside, and then it's just horror movie style. But
yeah, it's I don't really like these promos. I think they're entertaining, but are they the best use of what's going on? Probably not. I don't know whether the best use of the talent of both of these people.
it for me, I think the last image was just a perfect way to segue into this week with just the ladder just being
Yeah,
by itself.
yeah, I did like that. I liked that imagery. I thought that was really good imagery. Yeah.
So I guess we have a new nickname for Velveteen Dream. They called him on commentary, and I wanted to hear what you said. The Dennis Rodman of NXT.
Again, you know how I said with Pat McAfee, there's probably some things going on that I won't fully get. This is another example. Can you explain to me that's significant?
Dennis Rodman is a basketball player,
Yeah, I obviously know Dennis Rodman and his stuff with WCW, but so yeah,
but
go on.
it,
Continue saying what
he
you're gonna say.
was a very eccentric athlete, and not on the court, but outside of it, where he was extremely. He one time he showed up for a book signing in a wedding dress.
Right.
So they're comparing him, Velveteen Dream, to Robin with him being so flamboyant, charismatic, not giving a crap. You know, kind of that lackadaisy kind of thing. That he could just walk in and turn the switch on and it works.
I mean, based on that, it's a pretty good, I guess, comparison. Um, I guess it's just if there were any potential issues with Dennis Rodman outside of the ring, is that the best comparison to be using right now?
Petaron,
If you know what I
yeah,
mean.
Patel Ron basically said, "Don't forget the hair." Yeah, I can't forget the hair. I'm one of those people when they did the Last Dance, um, the whole documentary about the last season of the Chicago Bulls. I didn't get a chance to watch
Yeah,
it.
great documentary.
I,
Oh no, it's
and
great.
I'm already on the third episode, so everybody's like, "But I've known who Dennis Rodman is because I grew up in that time frame." I mean, you couldn't walk around and not notice that, especially when the era of TRL was around at that point in the late '90s. That was basically primary news on MTV.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I presume we'll get on to talking about the Velveteen G stuff. It is a difficult situation. In terms of the nickname, it is what it is. I didn't really see anything overly wrong with it.
Yeah, the match started out crazy. Kushida and Dream just squaring off. Grimes trying to take control. This match was fast and furious. Kushida hits a tornado DDT outside on Dream. That was great. Um, Grimes and Dream just slugging it out. You know, I've never followed Kushida in his Japan stuff. Now that with the NXT stuff, now I'm curious about all that stuff, and I want to go back and watch some of that stuff when I can.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but just because of seeing how athletic he is and stuff like that, it has me very like curious, so to speak. Um, you know, Kushida takes to the skies and takes out Dream. Grimes and Kushida going at it. You know, the floating cross armbar. Every time Kushida hits that, I feel so bad for whoever gets that. And it's not
Yeah.
because of it's not because of how the angle is and the torque on the arm and stuff like that. It's just the landing and you're putting torque on the arm.
Yeah. It's Kushida's just brilliant. That I liked all. In terms of in-ring stuff, I quite like all three guys. Like I think Kushida, but man, he deserves so much better than he's getting right now.
I think he deserves. Give him the NXT. Give him a title run or something like that. Hell, have him go after Escobar. Why not?
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool.
You know, and then
I
but that would be the perfect thing. You know, like you said, that would be awesome. But
It's just anything. Just do anything.
Mr. Warren Hayes, he's not in here. He gets what he wants. He got his grime time with the cave in out of nowhere, and then Grimes is
Cool
basically
finish.
going to take over. Yeah, the way that set up was awesome.
Really cool finish. I didn't agree with the who went over, but I thought that it worked well and the finish was good. The finish was really good.
Somebody asked about the Haruni end on YouTube. I don't know if I said that right.
Not a
I
clue
have
what
no
that
clue
is.
what that is. But the aftermath, Dream's basically taking out Kushida. It literally, like I said, it's a heavy promo show. But at the last end, the last shot is Dream and Balor. And I could say this much, and I have a friend who is infatuated about it. She's not a wrestling fan. I'll say this much. She's just literally casually watches just because Finn Balor looks the way he does.
Finn Balor is lean. He has got some good abs. Now, I just like Finn. I'm a big Finn fan, so anything Finn does, I'm happy. I'm happy to see him on my screen. Probably for different reasons than your friend, but I'm just happy to see Finn on my screen.
I'm just happy to see him actually working and being happy instead of being like where he was on SmackDown. It felt more so like he was just stale, but not
Yeah.
too stale. It was just to the point where he was trying to make it through the creative waters and he wasn't getting what he wanted. And this here, going back to the base, is giving him exactly what he wants. And he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. And I wouldn't mind seeing this version of him on SmackDown beating the crap out of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he'd slot into that SmackDown, I guess, other mid card really well with guys like Riddle, Gulak, Big E. I think he'd be really good in that role.
I don't think he deserves mid card.
Sure.
I think as soon as he gets back on, and let's say, hypothetically, let's do fantasy booking. Finn comes up to the main roster. AJ drops the IC title. Let's say AJ, for example, wins the Rumble, right?
Yep.
And Braun's the champion, and obviously the pay-per-view is usually Elimination Chamber, if I could remember off the top of my head.
Yep.
Let's just say they throw Finn in there and Finn wins it.
Yeah. I mean, or
we got
you have
speaking of jobbers, we got Ollie Davison's #1 fan. What's up, man? But
hello, Ollie Davis's #1 fan, Jobber JJ. But no, I think that's a cool idea. I'd like to see Finn. Finn should be, as you say, a main eventer on SmackDown or Raw. So him versus Drew would be cool.
Him versus anybody, period. At this point during the COVID era, we need something. But
you're right there.
The whole thing. Oh my God, we're gonna have retribution. Oh my freaking God. They started with the match with E and Morrison. They didn't end with the match until later on. But God, I've said this in numerous times. I don't know if you would agree with me. There is no salvation with retribution.
I'm not a fan. I will say though, the stuff they've been doing on SmackDown is better than the stuff they've been doing on Raw.
It's funny now, speculation, and people are trying to guess who it is. It's like playing Guess Who when you're a kid. You're trying to figure out who the person is. It's just one person said one of them looked like Ember Moon. One person looked like this. It's like, come on. But
no one knows.
No one knows. But I got a point about them afterwards, about the picks. Mm-hmm. But they come out and go crazy on everything. I guess tweeted something about something about retribution. I didn't get to see it, but they were pointing out that heavily.
Well. Yeah, sort of suggesting that he was being targeted because of his tweet.
I wanted to just get your opinion since you could understand this. A lot of people don't know. Obviously, being from Boston, it's heavily Irish. It's predominantly Irish.
Yep.
So that's in my blood. But what do you think of Sheamus coming out in this like 1920s really gritty 19s gritty boxing style? I actually like it.
I think it's different, which, as you said, alluded to earlier with the COVID thing, we need something different.
I absolutely love it because that's type of style. I think instead of just wearing his trunks, normals gear and stuff, he should just fight in that, wrestle in that. Hell, if you get him, I want to see him in Raw Underground just in that.
That'd be really cool. That would be really cool. You're right.
Especially that's like a throwback. Pardon the pun. Uh, about all the old school history in New York and Boston about the bare knuckles fighting and stuff in the
Yeah.
20s and the 30s. That's a nice touch.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but he basically comes out and also blames Big E for everything, and E says he's not alone. So, I mean, it's interesting to see how this is going to play out for us. So, Sasha and Bailey are out after this, and they said basically on cutting this promo that not even a manhunt gonna hold them down. That's interesting considering that's their boss. Uh,
Yeah.
but what did you think of them introducing everybody, and what did you think about this promo to start with?
I liked it. I thought it was cool. I just love what they're doing at the moment. Bailey and Banks are unbelievable. So anything that involves them, I'm gonna be have all the time in the world for. So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, Jobber's like
The
Retribution's
pre-match
supposed
stuff.
to be
The
Vince.
pre-match stuff.
I like whatever they do. Literally, it's fun. Jobber's like Retribution's supposed to be Vince when he was a teenager. I think Retribution's supposed to be freaking stupidity running around, not making any sense.
It's not good. Whatever it's supposed to be, it's not good.
I just hope that, and I'll say this line now. I just hope they pull their ass out of their heads literally quickly. This is just, it's gonna. I'm if they were gonna do this, bring back the hacker, and
Yeah.
that would have made more sense. Because if you put two and two together, it would make so much better. So,
Yeah, and I mean, no one would mind. I'd still like to see the hacker involved somehow.
yeah. Um, Other than that, do you know like Sasha's background, like from because she is from Massachusetts? You know that way all the chaotic stuff and everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
I have to show you. I'll send a video to you later. There's a video of her facing somebody from AEW. I can't remember who it is. I can't remember off the top of my head. They did a I Quit match, and the match ended with her, Sasha, wrapping the cord around the person's neck and making her tap. And
okay.
this stuff she's doing now reminds me of how ruthless she had to be back then, because chaotic wrestling, she was the women's champion and they actually wrestled down the street from me. So but seeing that match and seeing what she's doing now, you connect all the dots. It reminds me of what she's doing now is the same cutthroat thing she would have to do when she was wrestling in the indies around here. But these guys are literally nuclear hot fire right now, and it's hard to not keep it like that. The triple threat brand match, I digged it. I liked it. Just because you had the Riot Squad and the Iconics just going right at off the bat, and then everybody scares. But I'm in agreement with everybody when talking about it. But that the Tamina Bianca spot area of this was really good.
Yeah, agreed. That was awesome to see.
But I think the downside of it is that having Naomi and Lacey and just continuing that stuff, it's like, okay, we've seen that match millions of times.
Yeah, I'm not interested in seeing it at all.
So who did you really, before we talk about who at the end of this, who were you really pulling for that was in this match? And the chat can even say the same thing too.
Automatically, whenever I think of NXT being on the main roster, it's something I wanted to see. So Tegan and Shotzi would be good. And then when the graphic was released a couple of hours before the show, I was like, damn, I want to see Bianca Belair. So
for me, it was Tegan.
I was pulling for Bianca.
I'm with you. It was Tegan. I was hoping Tegan to put it, because if you had Tegan against Bailey, it would be something different. And the way this is ending, I love who's going to be facing him, and we'll talk about it literally in a second. But Tegan would be injecting brand new blood into this division that sorely needs it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right there.
Like literally, it's like, come on. We were talking about before we come on, guys, and this is just off the fourth wall about blood withdrawn. WWE needs to get their levels checked because god dang it, they need to get their freaking level checked and bring up some fresh blood. Even keep them in NXT, but bring them up so that way it's used on the main roster properly. What they were doing with, Black, Ricochet, and Tommaso and Gargano.
Kevin Owens back in the
Yeah,
day.
that too. And then just let them stay in NXT and fluctuate back and forth. But God, they need it. Especially with this whole Thunderdome stuff. Whew, they absolutely need this.
They need something new.
But, Dana being Dana, I'll give her credit. I mean, she's smart, but I mean, everybody at the end, they were really, Bianca gets taken out. It's Tegan, Asuka, and Baszler, but Dana takes out Tegan, and Asuka takes out Dana. But everybody, this is the match that everybody wants, and I fully agree. If they do this right, I'm fully invested Baszler versus Asuka.
Yeah, I'd really be into that. We'll get on to talking. I'll tell you what. Hold this thought. Remind me of this thought.
I will. But for me, it's more so like, and we'll talk. I'm going to touch about this now because obviously we're not going to talk about Raw, but the three horsewomen angle. Now, do you follow Jesse and Steven Jensen's show a little bit?
Yeah. I got to be honest. I don't catch all of it, but I tried to catch at least a little bit of it.
I sent a super chat stating
week.
that this could have been, and I'm hoping you agree with me on this. Having those three women stand tall on Raw Underground could be the card to entice Ronda back. Because they have two of the people that people say, well, they won't make enough in NXT. And now you have them on a major program, even if it's Raw Underground for off and on week to week.
They're on Raw. They are on Raw.
And then maybe Ronda's like, well, I get to work with my friends a little bit. WrestleMania is coming up. Yeah.
They need her. They do need her. Actually, okay, let me reword that. They are doing fantastic work with their women's division, but it is a lot of the same people in the same feuds. So with Becky out, Charlotte out, would be nice to see Ronda involved in the mix too. But yeah, I probably think potentially you're right that she could be enticed back with the thought of working for her friends in a more shoot wrestling environment. But I don't see her returning with the pandemic.
I don't see her returning with the pandemic, but there is speculation in some places that there is going to be a vaccine in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever. But
who knows?
But I think if, let's say, hypothetically, if they get something going for this whole pandemic thing and end it, get it at least manageable right before WrestleMania, maybe that whole idea will entice it. Becky would probably be back. Let's say right around that area after she give her time for after the post pregnancy. Charlotte for her shoulder will be back, her collarbone or whatever the hell she's dealing with, and there you go. Everybody gets what they want.
Exactly. I'd like to see her back regardless of how we get it. As long as she's happy to come back, I'll be happy too.
I think it's sorely missed considering with the lack of people. I mean, this division is now on the shoulders of 2 out of the 4 wrestling horsewomen, Asuka, and now you have them try to establish Shayna and Bianca right now just to even it out. And
maybe Nia too, and I think Nikki Cross has been doing
Nikki's
some fantastic work.
Awesome, but I think the one person that needs to get out of what she's doing is Alexa, and Alexa's got to get back in the ring at some point.
I love what Alexa's doing at the moment.
No, I don't get me wrong. I'm fully agree with it, but I think that she needs to be in the ring a little bit more than just staying out.
The thing is, I can't remember the time I was this interested in anything Alexa was doing. Gotta be honest. So, but I do agree with you. It'll be interesting to see how they transition her back to, I guess, normal wrestling.
Yeah.
once this whole situation, I guess, with Braun and Bray dies down.
So right afterwards, we got Asuka going against Sasha and Bailey, and this is just, yeah, this is going to be very interesting on Sunday. Um,
It will be.
so is this a possibility? I think I should wait and ask this, but I might as well just ask part of it. Do you think there's a possibility that if Asuka wins, they're going to do something they've done in the past, unify the titles maybe?
Not right now. If they are gonna do it, I reckon they'll do it with Bailey and Banks and have like a unification match between the two. But I don't see them um, going that route and having a unification match this early.
Did you notice something? Because I notice details sometimes. Bailey was wearing a Dana Brooke shirt when she got beaten up.
Did not.
Yeah, if you go back and look
Did
at it,
not.
there's a Dana Brooke shirt. It says Dana Brooke on it. I can't picture the rest of it, but that's when Asuka was going off already. Just to see that was just hilarious. The way Dana Brooke gets eliminated and there's Bailey wearing her shirt.
It would be interesting to see. I'll check that out after we finish recording.
Yeah, Mandy cut of their promo was pretty good. Later on,
Very
Sonya did really the same thing, just basically introducing their match coming up. Nikki and Alexis asking if she's okay. I got the Gable and Sheamus match was really good. It's just kind of like a revenge match for me. It's like, okay, so Sheamus was pretty much in the majority of the control, but Gable got a couple of good licks in there. The ankle lock was there. Sheamus reverses it. Gable kicks out. Sheamus hits white noise, bro kick, done. But he deserves so much better.
Just yeah, he's an Olympian, man. I just don't know why he turned heel a few weeks ago. If they had no plans for him, if they had nothing to do with him, I just don't know.
This whole segment with AJ, I couldn't stop laughing. It was really nice seeing Joe Park on there, though, a bit who's Abyss. And I used to watch Impact off and on because in here because we got it like around off a Spike probably like on Thursdays or something. So there wasn't really much to watch because usually Smackdown would be on Fridays around here. So I would be able to watch it, but it's so awesome seeing these two again in the same area. It would be even awesome if they did it with Joe. If Joe was just covering for Corey and it just happened all three of them in the same spot.
It was nice seeing Jeff in there as well, I guess.
Yeah, it was nice to see Jeff, but I like the fact that they called it piss.
Do you think that's a nod to obviously the urine segments that Jeff Hardy's been involved in?
It probably, but I literally joked and said, "Well, that was a pissa."
It was an interesting segment for sure.
And for me, when AJ was trying to promote his Twitch channel, which he did, one of the lines he says, "If you really work really, really hard," I was like, "There's a Boston accent and a freaking Southerner. Why not?" But
It was once again a very interesting line. I thought he sounded more like a child, but yeah.
they're trying to make AJ, which they don't have to make AJ strong. That he just is. But sometimes when he does his promos and whoever does it helps him out with it, whether it's he doesn't get the free control, it makes him sound like a little kid. Like, oh my God, you just no. But he did him Impact about them fighting an Impact, and AJ's said it's no pity party and goes off, and here we go. We're off to the races.
And we're getting that match next week or this week now, which should be pretty good.
I can't wait to see it. And then AJ trying to get the permanent marker off the erase board. I started laughing.
It was pretty funny that little skit.
So, you think a lot of people think this? Do you think Shinsuke is getting the short end of the stick right now, doing tag stuff?
Yes and no. Yes, he deserves more, deserves to be in a bit better position than he's in. But for Shinsuke, he's making good money. He's not killing himself every week having 20 plus minute matches. He's probably rather happy in the spot he's in, bringing in money, not working, exerting himself that hard. So yeah, it's. I'd say he's. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's happy with where he's at and what's coming in at the end of every month.
Yeah, the invader towards the tail end of the match, the inverted explorer from Shinsuke, but you know, this match pretty much gets thrown out in a DQ. But I think the biggest story is Kalisto. Oh my god, the guy is freaking rip.
Yeah, he's big. He is big, man. It will be interesting to see him back and now sort of gives Lucha House Party, I guess, more weight in the tag division because there's three of them, which they kind of need. But I'm impressed with what I've been doing, and a match with Cesaro and Shinsuke should be pretty good.
I'm waiting to see what they do after once the match happens for the tag titles.
Yeah.
Because if they keep both of them, I wouldn't mind seeing Kalisto and Cesaro go at it. Just the athletic version, just at the athletic side of it. But
It'd be very good.
Riddle, I wish Riddle was wrestling on this show instead of cutting a promo, because obviously he could get a
Yeah.
good promo. But I mean, if they're gonna keep this feud with Corbin, it it's got to be more about, instead of the bounty, and more what's on the mat.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. We should be seeing Riddle wrestle more, even if it's quick or short or whatever. It would be nice to see him in the ring.
Yeah, this promo ends with Riddle getting hit by Corbin and him walking away and calling him Chad. But I think the apology from Chad Gable, because I don't call him Shorty G, that just cringes
Good.
on me. I think that was fully sincere. I don't think that was written, and it
Hmm.
made you feel like, okay, he is sorry about why he's doing it, and he, with all the stuff about his
Yeah.
family and kids. But I mean, Corbin taking advantage of it, it's just, that's obviously Corbin's getting paid to do this, but still, it kind of makes your heart break, because obviously he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean with the whole it's from the heart thing, and it is nice to see. I guess Gable, at least on TV. I just wish it was in a better role.
So, can we officially say that Alexa gets her Disney wish?
I guess so.
It, it
I guess
it's
so.
even funnier how all this stuff is being promoted, where there's supposed to be romantic feelings for each other, when I people could say wanted this storyline a long time ago. They wanted where with the mixed match challenge. And that would have been the perfect time to just lean into that a little more, and then kept them going
Yeah.
afterwards, not 2-3 years later, and now just bringing
No,
it up.
I know what you mean.
Um,
I don't mind it. I quite like the segment.
I also think it's funny that they don't bring up that the fact that, just like, oh, the whole Charlie and Garcia BS, that she's with Ryan Cabrera.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're trying to hinge on the storyline about Braun, but when in reality, it's like, okay, come on. Just, if you're going to use Jeff Hardy's reality, at least be transparent on that.
Yeah, it's like they sometimes expect us to know everything about wrestlers, and other times expect us to be ignorant. But no, I do understand your gripe with that.
So we finally got the E match. I thought it was really good, and then everything starts going crazy. All hell breaks loose. I like E's new finish. It's very athletic, and if you have somebody like Morrison taking it, it's really good. But Retribution's in the back beating the crap out of everybody that comes their way. Big E hits Uranagi on Morrison and plants him. Like I said, just the stretch muffler looks good. I could see a combination where E could use the big ending and get into the stretch muffler if he right afterwards, just to make a valid point.
Yeah, I think that works well because big ending is an amazing finish. So incorporating the stretch muffler is really cool.
So, what do you think is next for E after all this? Because I think they should have him go after AJ and let AJ go
Agreed.
after whoever wins against Braun.
Yeah, that works. That does work.
Because
I'd have him do
let
that.
him win the IC title, have AJ go after, let's say, we'll talk about it a little bit now, but let's say if Bray wins, have the guy who's the most phenomenal person who faced the Taker get his retribution a little bit against the person who's almost the equal value of Taker as a character.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think it'd be cool to see. Having AJ involved with Big E could be really cool for some cool sort of funny skits, but also some great wrestling. So it'd definitely be good to see. And yeah, I agree. I think that I don't even think it'd be good to see. I think it's the plan.
Strowman comes out, cuts his promo, says SummerSlam tagline. I'm getting really annoyed with that tagline.
Yeah, it's annoying. At least it's not the horror show
My God, that was
or
so
something crap
bad.
like that.
But said he got evil. He's become the most evilest SOB. He's gonna destroy the Fiend, and Alexa comes down and tries to slap some sense into him, literally and figuratively. This is why I said it. It's like, and the lights flicker out. This whole segment was just utter stupidity. But it, like we talked about it a few minutes ago, this was just like a Disney storyline where you're just trying to make the guy who's the big bad beast, which a couple of people in the chat said about Beauty and the Beast, literally slap him out of Braun and wake his ass up. It's
I love the segments, to be honest, and I might be alone in that, but I really like them. I thought they were different out there, gave Alexa a lot of character work. And we'll get into my interesting prediction, which, if true, I think could save the storyline for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was almost like for this part, it was like a twisted Disney story here. It's almost, and I talked to a friend of mine. We were just texting back and forth right afterwards. This is like Nightmare Before Christmas meets like Cinderella.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That sort of Disney vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just go from there. But since we cut out Raw, we're gonna talk about the picks. So I'll read them out. You say, and I'll tell you mine. So Cole McAfee.
Cool. Let's do it. Hopefully, Cole.
I think Cole will win, but McAfee's gonna do something to further this along. It could be media wise, or it could just point out that Cole won the match but didn't win the war. But I think this is not a one-off.
Potentially, yeah. I hope it's a one-off. That's all I'm gonna say.
Women's champion Io versus Dakota. Who you got?
Io.
I got Dakota. And the reason why is I'm thinking about this is that I think something big is going to be set up after where Io will go get a rematch for it. And then this could be a possibility because of how things are going with SmackDown to bring Io up to salvage some of the women's division stuff. Yes, they have a strong women's division, but there's nothing stronger like NXT's women's division, just how collectively strong each individual part is.
Yeah, I'd be up for seeing Io on the main roster too, so I'm not 100% opposed to your idea.
So, Bronson, we got the North American title championship match. We are now officially knowing 3 out of the 2 competitors. The 2 in to win it matches, and we'll start with those 2. We have Dream and Balor and Gargano and what's the last name of the other one?
Rich Holland.
Yeah. Who do you have for Holland and Gargano?
For Holland and Gargano, I'm gonna go for Gargano. I think
They need new fresh blood, and Gargano knows this. He could take the loss, give Holland the win.
Maybe. I'm thinking about Takeover, but yeah. Either way, I'd be happy seeing either man.
I'd rather have Loomis in if he wasn't hurt, but that would just be me. But
Yeah, it's really unfortunate with Loomis.
But I think the second one for win to get into win between Dream and Balor, it better be Balor or I riot. And the reason being is that
Agreed.
with everything surrounding with Dream inside and outside, it would just give him the example of okay, you lost the first time, you get a second chance, you're gonna lose the second time, and then be like, hey, you need to smarten up. This is like 2 slaps in the face.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. So I'm with you. I'm hoping for a Balor win in the match, and then progressing to the ladder match. I think it's going to be Damian Priest.
I'm gonna take the big boy, very very big boy. I'm taking Bronson Reed,
Wow.
and I think will happen is that Reed will win it because the way that match happened with Priest and it was setting up, I think they're starting to get high on Reed right now.
Yeah.
That this could set up 2 different avenues for stories where Balor is adamant wanting that title, and it's been very very shown. It's very adamant. It could be Reed
Hmm.
versus Balor. It could have a triple threat
Yeah.
between him and Priest, saying, you know, Priest and him will be on top of the ladder, and he does something to do that. But I think Reed is probably the likely going to win.
Yeah. I'd be happy with either.
So, Goku versus Frieza, Luther versus Superman. Here we go. The NXT Championship. Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross with Scarlett next to it. Who do you got?
Keith Lee, I think. I think it's too short to title of him, and they can hopefully figure out a way to keep him retaining the title, but still putting crossover in defeat.
Now, I have an interesting scenario
So
right afterwards, too.
go on, hit me.
Lee wins just barely. As soon as, like, say, Cross goes out on the outside, he throws Lee in to get ready for his finish, for which is the cross jacket.
Yep.
Dijak comes out. Ref's distracted because Scarlett's there. Turns freaking Cross in, does his finish, throws him back in. Big Bang catastrophe. Lee wins. It'll set up another rematch
It's
for Cross because they'll point out that you needed your best friend to help to beat me, kind of angle.
it, it's not a bad option at all. Not a bad option at all. Yeah, I'd be happy with it. I'd actually maybe I even add Champa to the mix too. So it'll be like, oh, you messed with us, we'll mess with you. But yeah, I think that's actually quite an interesting option. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's a good way to get out of the feud, I guess.
Sento Escobar, who is the champion, versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. Who do you got?
Has that been confirmed?
That was on the card listing I found on. I looked this up, and I think I found it on ESPN.
Okay.
If it happens, we could just
I'll
make
go.
a prediction on it, and at least it's like shoot to the hip.
Yeah, sure. I'll go for Santos with this one. I think he needs a big win.
I'll go with Scott just because of the fact that it'll make Escobar look strong in defeat, kind of like the whole Mark Henry what we're talking about. Now,
Yeah, for sure.
now the now the whole I'm sorry, Louis, the whole Wrestle Talk viewing thing. This is going to be interesting while this is going on. So we'll talk about the
This
picks,
is
and
gonna
this is
be
going to be
interesting.
fun. Drew versus Orton.
Oh, Drew, Drew,
I know. I honestly really think
Drew.
it's going to be Drew, and 2 things could happen. There's a line from Monday Night Raw that Sean said that either I will come out and super kit you, or you'll get a Claymore. That could happen. So what I was basically thinking is Karma could come back to bite Orton. Orton loses, be a DQ, whatever situation is. He gets super kicked by HBK. HBK rolls up. He pops up with and hits and he gets a Claymore. Or the other idea that
Hmm.
I've been reading they might be doing for Backlash. I'm just spitballing this out there. This has not been confirmed. I have no sources. Let's just leave it at that. That I was reading something that Retribution might be at Payback and just derail that. So if they're going to continue this and bring this in a week later, Drew's going to win and let Randy come back and say, you didn't beat me clean.
Potentially. Yeah, I just hope they keep the title on Drew, man. I think he needs
Like
it.
I said, I have no sources. No sourcitos. I'm just spitballing here.
No sources. No, we appreciate the spitballing.
Braun versus Bray. Again.
Bray. I think Bray's got the win.
I think it's going to be Bray, and it's going to be an interference by Alexa because she's going to come out and distract her, and then this whole metamorphosis between a good Lexa and a bad Lexa, I think they're going to pull off what they did with NXT with Candice. Make her like a good person at first, and then make her completely bad, where like a pixie. I have a feeling she's going to turn to like a Sister Abigail version, like a lighthearted version of it. But I think that could be a possibility. But I do think Bray wins because I think they need to let Braun chill a little bit because he's been working off since Mania, and it's pretty much time.
For sure, I agree. I think that having the Fiend win is definitely the right choice.
So I'm going to lump these two together considering these two are still together, and you told me to remind you of this. Bayley versus Asuka and Sasha versus Asuka. Who do you got in each match?
Okay. So, where we started was... so we're starting with Bayley and Sasha. Bayley and Asuka. So I think Asuka's going to win that. Thanks to... I think Bayley's going to win that with help from Asuka. With help from... Sasha. And then as we progress later down the show, we're going to have Asuka fail to beat Sasha. No, Asuka's going to beat Sasha after Bayley costs her inadvertently to continue that feud. And then I actually think at Payback we're going to see, because we know they're defending the women's titles, I think we're going to see Shayna and Asuka against Bayley and Banks.
I'm gonna go follow you just a little bit. Bayley's gonna win, keeping that title run going will help Sasha, but I think Sasha is gonna win very closely as Bayley comes out. Now, what you said, it rings a lot of true because I think Bayley will win because of DQ and Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
But Payback is where it ends. This 2 belts thing.
Yeah, potentially.
If they take the title off of Io, it would be more smart to bring Io up and have Asuka go at it with them because there is history with them tagging in Japan, I believe.
Yeah.
So why not just bring them in and get them going and let them win the women's title? Don't name them the Kabuki Warriors. Give them something different and let them go. And there you go.
Yeah, it's not the worst idea at all.
And there you go. Sasha's on 1. Bayley's on 1. They're stuck, and they're complaining that it's not fair, and they try to get a rematch, and then they get the belts back, and then there's your feud starting up, getting closer towards Mania time.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Hair versus hair.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know. It'd be, especially if they push it and do it right this time instead of hinting at it. So,
yeah.
Who do you want to go bald? Not me, because I already am.
I think Sonya would look awesome bald, so I'm going to go for... I hope she's doing all right, by the way, with everything that's gone on, but I'm going to go for Mandy to win.
Yeah, I'm seriously hoping she's okay, and we're all pulling for you. But they're not going to cut Mandy's hair. After already cutting it once, they're not going to do that again. So what about Dom versus Seth? Who do you got?
I think we get a Seth win here. I'm thinking Dom, good showing in defeat, but ultimately it's Seth that wins with help from Murphy. So yeah, I'd be up for seeing that as well. I think, and potentially a rematch at Payback where you can say, oh listen, I didn't get you properly one-on-one. Let's do it in a steel cage or something like that. But yeah, I think that we'll hopefully see Seth win.
I think Seth is so over right now, he could eat it, and then at Payback he can just win it, which I'm like Sean. I'm
Potentially.
probably like you. I don't know if you're like everybody else, but I don't like 50-50 booking in this instance. But just to get Dom's foot in with a win and get him started, it's pretty much as 50-50 as much as it would suck to do within a week
Yeah.
after. It would probably be the right decision here. I know Sean's probably yelling at me over something about this because I know he hates 50-50. I think he hates 50-50. But I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it. I think they're going to 50-50 this match, and they're going to have Dom win here, and then he's going to lose at Payback.
Potentially. I think the payback's going to be interesting because so many matches will probably be 50-50 booking, unfortunately. So we'll see how it
I
goes.
think this is going to be one of those matches that's going to be 50-50, but if they were smart just to get his career, if they're actually intent of getting him on a right foot,
Yeah.
this would be the smart idea to do to get a win underneath him, let him lose against Seth, and then put him back down at NXT to get more seasoning. But at least he can say that he got one win off of somebody off the main roster when he comes up again.
Yeah, it's not. It's again definitely not the worst idea. Him in NXT would be good to get some more mileage out of him.
Profits versus Garza and Andrade, and no, Charlie Caruso is not going to be around. Who do you?
I'm gonna go for Garza and Andrade.
I think Profits get their revenge and get the win. And I think Bianca is going to be the key factor in this. I think that the Profits win, but I think it's Bianca is going to have a hand in it somehow against Selena. I think she's going to end up being at ringside just to make sure.
For sure, whatever the decision is, it'll either be Bianca accidentally cost them or Bianca helps them win. She'll be involved in the finish for sure.
Cruz and MVP on that very expensive belt. Who do you have?
We'll go for Cruz, I think, with Lashley and and Shelton on ringside. I think I'm gonna go for Apollo Cruz picks up the win, which to be fair is probably the right choice.
It is the right choice because the only person he hasn't faced in the Hurt Business is Lashley. So I think
It's gonna happen.
yeah, so I think that'll probably happen not at Payback, but I think it's going to happen down the line with either the next two pay-per-views after that before Survivor Series. So I mean,
100%.
it's going to be an interesting week, guys. So Louis, tell them where they can find you.
I'm at the Louis Dangoor on Twitter and over at Restalk interviews with an interview with Drake Maverick dropping tomorrow, an interview with Matt Cardona that dropped last week. So check all that out. And just want to say, man, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciated being here with you and chatting some wrestling.
Hey, we could do this all day. I wouldn't mind it. The only difference is that I'd rather have you here doing it.
I know. I think we'd all rather be all face to face doing this kind of stuff. But the way the world is at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that's always a good thing. But I appreciate you staying up, though. I know it's a different 6 hour time
That's
difference.
all right.
But
Yeah, I'm gonna head to bed as soon as we're finished.
but other than that, you can find him there. He also, you doing tomorrow night with Warren and everybody or no?
No, because obviously there's no AEW, so stay tuned for a bit of an announcement coming soon about what the plan's going to be for the next few weeks with the scheduling changes to Dynamite.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun seeing.
But no,
Seeing
I won't be on. I won't be on this.
seeing you three on there is interesting. I said to Warren, "How's it feel to have a Britishman, a Canadian, and a sour man all on the same show?" And he started laughing and thought it was funny. But all you guys follow Fightful. You'll find Louis stuff there. Also, with the whole transition schedule, I can't tell you when when the Wednesday more will be on. Obviously, it'll be a little different. Monday, Denise and Sean are on there. Listen to your boys tomorrow. Quizzlemania is going to be on tomorrow. And Adam, oh my God, dude, if you're watching, and I hope you are, you're probably going to be bald, man. You're probably going to be like me. You're going to probably be bald. If
just Quizlemania is next week, not tomorrow.
well, me a break. It's I just worked 6 days in a row.
No, nothing on you. I just didn't want people to head over tomorrow and be like, "Hey, where's the thing we were promised?" But no, that's next week.
Yeah, but still, knowing Sean and how ruthless he can be, yeah, get used to being Paul. Adam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, Friday, Jeremy's gonna be there on there. You've got AEW, NXT, and you have a full weekend of wrestling. Follow Louie for all that stuff. Follow Fightful for all that stuff. Mr. Warren Hayes on Thursday. Hey, we got people coming in. We have a new show that I'm gonna promote here and there. Check out Tim and Joe calling in the ring. They start their YouTube channel on Thursday right before Warren's show. Check that out. I'm gonna check it out, and hopefully I'll be on there at some point. And dude, Louis, like I said, if you have your own stuff going on, I'm down.
Let's do it. I enjoy working with you, so hopefully we can do a lot more of that in the future.
Yeah. Other than that, be kind, be good, guys. And all I want to say is the last thing is